I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
That speech changed everything. It changed. We wanted to hear it. We wanted to hear it live. We couldn't. The best we could do was radios.
And what are you looking forward to this weekend?
I'm looking to sense what I didn't feel that time. I really got it secondhand, third hand, but I'm hoping to feel it firsthand because the emotions are still very strong. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of joblessness. People are hurting right now.
How are we doing on Dr. King's dream?
Well, we're doing good, but we can do better.
Where do we need to work on?
We need to work on everything.
Well, I just know August 28th, 1963 is a big, momentous part of my life. I turned into a troublemaker after that.
How old were you?
17.
And what made you go down to Washington, D.C. at age 17?
It just seemed like the right thing to do. You know, I was really into Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan singing a lot of songs about, civil rights stuff, about Medgar Evers getting murdered and just things. And just all of a sudden I started going to NAACP meetings and they asked me if I wanted to go to the march. I said, sure.
Jim, how's it going getting ready?
It's great. The anticipation is building up. I know people are dying to get down there, and I'm just so happy to be able to be part of this.
What are you looking forward to most about this weekend?
I just want people to be part of history. I mean, for most people here, they were too young to be part of the first march. And they had to, read about history, in grammar school and middle school and high school and college or whatever. And, in some cases, you're envious that people were doing great things. But here's a chance for you to be part of something great. Because make no mistake about it, we still have a lot of issues. The Supreme Court knocked down the Voting Rights Act, Article 4, and we know that stop and frisk and stand your own ground laws have been problematic for many in this country. So we are the change, and we're ready to go down and make some change. And I'm just so happy we got these many people going.
How are we doing on Dr. King's dream?
Well, it's a tale of two cities. On one side of the aisle, you got an African-American president, you have Oprah, you have black coaches in the NFL. Great. That was unheard of 50 years ago. Then on the other side, you have massive unemployment, mass incarceration, you still have poor schools, and you still have lack of home ownership. So things have remained almost unchanged in 50 years. So the dream has yet been fulfilled.
Tell me about the bus trip.
The bus trip is going to be long.
Yeah.
It's going to be 8 hours, but it's going to be a lot of fun because you got a lot of good energy, got a lot of good people, and we're going to make some new friends on that bus. Trust me. That's our bus.
Yes, I've been marching in Washington since the 60s. And my kids, my three oldest children are with me tonight. They are 50, 53, and 51. And they came down here when they were 6, 7, and 8, marching in for a Children's Survival March program.
And they're here on the
And
bus
they're here
too?
now tonight again. But through the years we've done stuff. Million Mile March and different kinds of causes, Feed the Hungry and all that. Yep.
And how do you guys all know each other?
I don't know.
She's one of my church members. And these are some of the girls that live in the development. Their grandmother and I were good friends.
Awesome.
But the grandmother is deceased, but she would have brought them down herself. But that's what she wanted. Her grandkids to know their own culture, their own life. Yep.
The history.
And the history.
What do you guys think of Martin Luther King?
Great guy.
How come?
He really stands up for what he believes in.
What do you think of the dream speech?
I don't know. When I heard of it, I thought of it. It must have took a lot of strength for someone to put so much words into it, to have step up to his own level, to speak out to the whole world for everyone to hear his thoughts and what he had to say.
Couldn't have the opportunity to come in 1963. I can remember being pregnant with my third child, and I couldn't come down. And I was crying, saying I want to go down to Washington D.C., but I couldn't come down. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity. As Dai says, I don't want to miss the opportunity this time because I'm 71 and I won't be here when it's the 100th anniversary. But these young folks will be, and they'll remember tonight, and they'll be coming down 50 years from now. So this is a great opportunity, and we're here. And just watching that thing, people speak, makes you feel like This is the 60s. I like it. I really like it a lot.
Let me ask all you kids something. Have we achieved Dr. King's dream yet?
I guess so. I don't know. Mostly.
Mostly?
Yeah, I say mostly.
What more do we have to do?
Just a little more, the end.
Say again, please.
The end.
Anyone else?
I think like one of his biggest thing was freedom, and still today there's a lot of places where the freedom can be improved, like for same-sex marriage and a lot of other things that still people have a big disagree on. But one of his things was just to be freedom within everybody. It would be a lot more peaceful.
Big and fuzzy. All right.
I'm sorry.
No, look at me. That's why you couldn't go in there. Only I like, well, we knew where to go. Chain down. What's on? What's at least they have somewhere to start.
Hey! All right, first of all, thank each and every one of you for being on this bus, because it really shows what you're made of. You're going to be making history. It's 50 years of progress, but 50 years of challenges ahead of us. So thank each and every one of you for being on this bus.
My father was there
Margaret Lecco, is she
for the
here?
original march, and
Margaret
I was
Lecco.
very young at the time and was unable to attend, and this is the first button I ever received,
Margaret
and it's
Lecco.
probably
She on
the
the
only
bus?
button I'll have till the day I die. I'm somewhat sad that we have to do it again, but if need be, I'm happy to be able to do it this time.
How are we doing on Dr. King's dream?
It's still a dream, but it's attainable. I have to hope. I have to believe.
So I came because I think it's an important moment in our history. It's an important time to not only remember the sacrifices that were made and the pledges that were made 50 years ago, but the work that we have to do now in this kind of post-Trayvon situation. Voting Rights Act is under attack. A lot of challenges that are still going. A lot of the same things they were talking about 50 years ago, just a different version of them now in the 21st century. So I think it's important, especially for our young people, and I've seen a few on the buses. I'm glad to see them to be here and be a part of this and to see what we can do now.
How are we doing on Dr. King's dream?
Well, I'm one of those who always wants to challenge us to see the wider vision he has, because the I Have a Dream speech is the most popular one. But of course, he was talking about fighting against militarism. He was talking about fighting along the lines of class issues. He was talking about the international scene. He was talking about a much wider vision than just a black-white, racial integration dream. So I think that we have made progress, as many have said. But if you think about the broader vision he had, we still have a lot further to go.
And what does kind of a whole group of us getting on 5 or 6 different buses and all driving down for the 50th anniversary, how will that help us?
In and of itself, it doesn't mean much at all. That's what everybody says, that if we are just showing up for one day, it's just an event. It's just a great scene for the media. It's a great scene for those, watching 10 buses, 15, 20, 35 buses rolling in. But if all of us who are part of this, or at least most of us, are committed to the movement that has to happen, that this is a part of, then it's going to make a difference, because it means you have that many people that are letting the whole world know, and particularly letting this nation know, that we're committed to seeing some change in policy, seeing some change in hearts and minds, seeing some change in the way that we do things in this country to create a more just and equitable society.
I think I'd like to see, when I hear people talk about the dream reignited, I want to see more energy. I want to see more commitment to a shared vision, to a shared hope, promise that we're all in this together and we're looking to make and create a better Americans.
50 years later, how are we doing on Dr. King's dream?
50 years later, I think we are we're on our way, over halfway there. We still have some challenges to overcome, some new issues, but we're still, we've made improvements, but we're not there.
We're in Delaware. What time is it? I forgot what time it was.
Yo no hablo inglés.
What time is it?
It's about 4:30.
4:30 in the morning, and we're in Delaware. We're almost there. We're in Delaware. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'd say another hour and a half, and we'll be in D.C.
How's the bus trip been going
The
so
bus
far?
trip so far has been fantastic. Everybody's fine. You know, everybody's fine, and we're at the Delaware rest stop, and people are smiling. They're happy. And Mary, you're gonna be fine too. Mary, go on.
Mary,
It's a long ride to DC, but woohoo!
and where are you coming from?
Boston.
Oh, cool. You're on the Boston bus.
I'm on the Boston bus.
And tell me what your bus has been like so far. Then I'll tell you what mine has been like so far.
A whole bunch of activists getting together to talk about activism roots. That's what it was. I'm sorry. This is me at what time is it?
I don't know.
This is the 3:55 brain.
And so, like, what kind of things were you guys talking about in your
We
bus?
were just talking about what's bringing us out to the march and why we are choosing to use this demonstration to show up. And a lot of us are doing it for a lot of similar reasons. I came with a group that's here to stand up to police violence, and it's a problem that happens a lot in America that I don't think that people are aware of. Police brutality amongst African American and any male of color, to be more frank about it. It's like if the color of your skin will dictate whether or not you're going to be stopped and harassed by a police officer. That's a problem, especially when the police are supposed to be the ones to serve and protect. I just think that we've gotten to the point where they're only serving and protecting the purpose of business and the institution. So once that changes, then I think then we'll start seeing other things trickle down. Because once people feel like they have authority, start realizing they don't have that authority over a human soul, everybody will get, oh wait.
And tie that into Martin Luther King's dream speech.
Tie that into Martin Luther King's dream speech. Okay, I can tie that in very, very clearly. Martin Luther King dreamed that one day my son and your son will be able to have the same rights. If my son drives a Benz and your son drives a Benz, I don't want my son getting pulled over because of his color of his skin. If he gets pulled over because he's speeding, that's fine. If he's shooting out the window, that's fine. But don't pull him over because of the color of his skin. Martin Luther King's dream was that white man and black man can stand in the same America and get the same treatment. That was his dream.
How are we doing on the dream?
How are we doing on it? It depends on what part of the dream we're talking about. Yeah, we get to go to schools with white folks, but now they're just making it so that poor white folks got to go to worse schools. Because they're too close to the black folks. Once you get too close, you're considered black too, and that becomes your wealth, your power, your chances to succeed in life. All of it goes down the hill because you're poor, and it's sad. I mean, the dream's it's kind of being fulfilled, but it's kind of not, because now we go to the same schools and we're on the same playing field. It didn't get better. It didn't get better. It's just that anybody who fell along those lines also got trickled in with the poor black community, and it's sad. And I wish his dream was really being seen, because if I got the same education as the kids in Newton, I don't think that if all the kids around me got the same education as the kids in Newton, I don't think I would have had to deal with as much violence growing up.
6:30 in the morning, we just pulled into RFK Stadium here in Washington, D.C.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Bunch of tired people on the bus.
Right here, so we can distribute the passes. We're going to make our way to the monument. Over here.
So if I can get a line right here, a line behind this lady right here.
I brought myself out, my grandson out. I wanted him to be part of history. I wanted him to know what happened back in the 50s and 60s, how we got together as people to fight the injustices that's going on in this country. Furthermore, the dream is alive and kicking, but I don't know how well it's doing. Because we still have people that are hungry, we still have people that are homeless, we still have people that are jobless.
And how does coming to a weekend like this, an event like this, kind of affect that kind of change?
What it does, it gets people generated. It gets people motivated. It gives people something to look forward to looking at. As a matter of fact, they can even look at themselves and say, question what they've been doing all their life. Because if you haven't taken care of anybody, then what you really did is you've been remiss to doing your duty in life.
You guys Rhode Islanders or Massachusetts?
I was born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island. South side.
All right, cool. What's life like in Rhode Island for you, Boo?
Rhode Island is subtle racism. You know, at least in the South, you know where you stand. In New England, they smile in your face.
What can we do to make Rhode Island better?
Myself have protests for 365 days a year. I mean, people have forgotten how to fight. Back when Martin Luther King was doing this, he was protesting every day. And because now people they use a Facebook, they use an email or whatever they use, they have no more communication with each other. And that's what's lacking. They're more educated, but less common sense. And that's really a shame that this country has come to this.
How are our state leaders doing on these issues? Governor Chafee and Mayor Tavares?
Well, it's politics. It's politics at its worst. Anytime you have a minority-majority city, and we don't have any power at all, there's a problem. I mean, Mayor Tavares, I guess he's trying as hard as he could, but when you have the powers to be that sit up there in the State House, our State House is a white marble building. And what I always say is, I'm going to the White House to explain to my white brethren, sisters, and brothers that are up there, because the majority of them are white that are up there in our State House. So if they really want to be effective and help people in my community, then they have to go out and look at the community. They have to go out and understand that there are people that are suffering for real. People are not trying to get over, they're really suffering. They're really hurting. And so when you ask a person that's hurting to come out to try to defend themselves, they can't because they're already down and out. My thing is, I try to at least people to come out to support themselves. Because anytime I have to be accountable to the people I'm helping, there's a problem. And that problem is the people just don't have the ability to do some of the things that's supposed to be done.
Can you go tell me what Dr. King means to you?
What Dr. King meant to me is the guy that stood for love, peace, fairness. He did not see color. And the problem with Dr. King's dream now is everybody says it, but they don't believe it. They don't follow it. They might use it to get dollars, but as far as the dollars coming back to the people, employing, education, housing, not even. Not even.
We're going to go together to the T stop. We're going to get off at Foggy Bottom. Foggy Bottom is the stop we're getting off. But let's try to stick together. What's that Foggy Bottom? Let's try to get together as a group at Foggy Bottom.
Now what's happening at Foggy Bottom? What's happening at Foggy Bottom?
Foggy Bottom is the entrance to the mall. We're leaving RFK, getting ready to get on that metro to Foggy Bottom at the mall. So we're almost there. We're that close.
And then we'll be there.
We'll be there. There, marching for freedom, justice, and jobs.
Voter rights.
Voter rights.
What brought you down? What inspired you to come?
What we mean when we say we are all Trayvon is that we've got a system where the system has painted the targets on the backs of all black men right now and all men of color, but it doesn't stop there. I mean, I've heard people say the thing about like, well, we're not Trayvon, you know, I'm white, I'm not Trayvon, I can't understand. And there's some truth to that. There's, you know, people do need to take that sort of thing seriously. But imagine if white people all across this country started fighting for justice as if their lives depended on it, as if they were Trayvon Martin themselves, as if they were fighting for their lives, how different things would change, how different things would be, and how fast.
We voted all our lives. There's not a struggle we have missed, but they want to just ignore us and pretend we don't exist. Once again our rights are threatened and we seriously kiss. Not one step back, no way. No more citizens arrested. For 50 years now we protested to gain a true democracy with equal rights for all. Not one step back, no way.
How's America doing with a dream? It's a nightmare. Right now, America is a nightmare.
I'm uncomfortable with the way the state of affairs.
All right. Yes.
I'm uncomfortable with my city council.
Yes.
I'm uncomfortable with my mayor.
Yes.
I said it.
Yes.
I'm uncomfortable with my mayor.
Yes.
I'm uncomfortable with the deal I've been given.
Yes.
For too long they've been doing us wrong.
Yes.
Ain't nothing funny when you're taking my money.
Yes.
It is showtime.
Yes.
It's time for them to know how we feel.
Get no justice.
You don't get no peace.
We
are union. We are the union. Mighty, mighty union. Mighty, mighty union.
Tax Wall Street. Tax Wall Street. Tax Wall Street. Not our street.
After murder, after murder, after murder of black youth, of Latino youth, again and again, and are never prosecuted, never investigated. How long are we going to beg the criminals to investigate the crimes? How long are we going to beg the criminals to give us justice? How long?
Together, through determined effort, through a willingness to confront corrosive forces tied to special interests rather than the common good, and through devotion to our founding documents, I know that in the 21st century we will see an America that is more perfect and more fair.
It is time for our nation to recommit to lifting up the hopes and dreams of all of us. And we must remember that in unity there is power. Together we can move mountains and see this agenda move forward. Si se puede.
We must redeem the dream because there are those who attack our democracy, our voting rights, and our access to equal economic opportunity. They may wear different clothes. They may use different slogans. They may have different talking points. But like those in 1963, they filibuster, they obstruct, and they hinder.
I decided in my lifetime after hearing him speak that I would own that freedom, not keep working toward it or keep asking for it. I decided that I had earned it, we had earned it, and for the last 50 years, I have lived that way, knowing that I have my freedom, and been fighting like hell for the last 50 years to keep that freedom. That is what's important, that we realize today.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe
by what happened today. And I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and I'm sure you all do too, who always want to dive into a lot of skepticism and cynicism. And I even ran into a young man today, didn't know him at all. He just happened to be coming out of the, one of the, they let you out about 5 different places, but you can only go in about 1 place, right? And I met him at one of those 5 different places that he was coming out, and he said that, I asked him if they were getting ready to march yet. He said he didn't know, but he was going home. And I said, well, why are you going home? And he said, you know, I just feel differently about these things. I live here in D.C. and I feel differently. And I asked him what was on his mind. And as it turned out, he was buying into the cynicism that, well, people were just coming here kind of for the show, kind of for the event, you know, but everybody's going to go back home and go back to their usual routine. And I let him know that you really have to be careful, and sometimes you have to resist your own cynicism, because people want you to be cynical. And people want us to believe that everybody's just going to show up in big numbers here, or big numbers in Gina, Louisiana some years ago, or big numbers in some other place, but then nothing's going to happen. But the reality is, and I'm sure those who were around at the time, who were there 50 years ago, can tell you that they're probably saying some of the same stuff in the media 50 years ago about what was going on 50 years ago. And the reality is that every time we have one of these events, we have an opportunity to make a choice, whether or not it'll just be an event, or whether or not it'll be part of a movement. You understand what I'm saying? Whether or not it'll be part of it just an event, or part of it a movement. This was an important day, an important march, to see so many people out there coming from all over the place, people from Chicago, people from Schenectady, New York, people from, further south in D.C., further north even in the Providence and Boston, people coming from all over the place to share in this dream and to share in a recommitment to the fight that lies ahead. So I just think it's going to be important for all of us in all of the ways that we can, and we all have different ways that we can do this. No one needs to feel pressured to do it everybody else's way, but in all the ways that we can, whether it's fighting over this issue about the Davy Lopes pool, or whether it's dealing with some other issues that are going on in Providence or in Boston or in Cambridge or wherever your circle of activity is, or even down in Newport, we just need to make sure that we go back and make sure that what happened today is not just a moment, but as Joe Madison would say, it's part of a movement. Amen?
Mr. Vincent, God bless you, and the NAACP.
Thank you for that.